All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the All Betz Are Off segment with Jeremy Jerome Betz every Friday. That's what we do. Jeremy, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Everything's going well. We're doing some work around the house, obviously, and looking forward to another Sunday night football matchup.
Yeah, these primetime games suck. Like you're up for you're just up
Yeah.
forever. And I know that a lot of people that's like they love them because they guarantee to see the Steelers and good for them. Something that I wasn't able to talk about in the first half of the podcast because to be honest, when I recorded because of our recording schedule with the Steelers preview and all this,
Mm.
there was no injury report out yet when I did that first half of the show. So let's talk a little bit about this injury report. Steelers side of things on Thursday. Scotty Miller, although he did some drill work, was still unable to practice with a finger injury. Will Howard remains in his 21-day window. Corey Trice didn't practice, even though he's in that window. Thankfully, he still has 2.5 weeks. Chuck Clark was back to a full participant after being sick. Alex Highsmith was limited. Isaac Seumalo still didn't practice. Darnell Washington was back full with a foot injury. Jonnu Smith and Cam Hayward got days off. Connor Hayward, new to the injury report, did not practice with a knee injury. And then the only other injuries that are Cole Holcomb still remains out with an illness, and Jabril Peppers remains out with a quadricep injury. So, Jeremy, what do you think about that?
Well, it's an extensive list.
Yes.
I don't know how it'll all work out by game time, but I mean, I think your biggest contributors, right, that you're wanting to see get back to work at some point are Seumalo and I would say Jabril Peppers. I think the linebacker room could be fine without Cole Holcomb, although you'd like to have him back healthy as well. But those are the two names that stick out to me as guys that you would love to have available to you this week. I just don't know if it's going to happen. When you talk about a pec injury that's been lingering, it might be worth it to give Seumalo some time here to just kind of get fully healthy and before trying to make it work on the field again. And then as far as the secondary goes, maybe you're a little bit more desperate there, especially at safety, trying to get guys back. So we'll see if they can push Jabril Peppers through. But I think that they're going to, after last week, play it a little safe with some of these guys, knowing that they can, without those guys, put up a defensive performance that looks to be in line with what they were hoping to get from the start of the season.
I mean, some people will say that Seumalo with the pectoral, I heard some people saying that they might have pulled him from the game just as precautionary purposes, 3-score lead. What's the use of having him out there? My answer to that was I've never seen in my time paying this close attention to the Steelers a player be pulled just for a coach's decision, and yet they announce that he's out with an injury. So I'm not necessarily buying into that. But if this could be one of those injuries where if Seumalo doesn't practice the first 2 days, the doctors could say it's not going to get any better until the end of the season. You're not going to, it might not get any worse, and they just maintain it. I don't know. But that is a concerning injury. You hope that if he needs a week or so off, that they can give him that. I was happy to not see Zach Frazier on this list at all week. Yeah. He's been on the injury report with a calf injury. Good to see Darnell Washington back. He's going to be big. But other than that, I wasn't that shocked. Cole Holcomb, whatever illness he has, like that's 2 weeks with an illness is rough. I'm not sure what's going on. And then Jabril Peppers, that quad injury. I mean, he must have done some serious, that must be a severe injury for him to not practice all last week or most of last week and this week. So we'll see what that looks like on Friday. And then we also did get a Chargers injury update. You're looking at some players like Benjamin Saint, I guess, is it Juiced? No idea. Groin injury was limited. Terheeb still was with a knee, didn't practice. It's here. These I'm just talking about players that are limited. Keandre Lambert-Smith with a hamstring was limited. Tony Jefferson, the safety, with a hamstring was limited. Bobby Hart, knee and ankle, did not practice. Deshaun Hand with a groin injury was limited. Mekhi Becton with a knee was limited. Anything pop there for you on the Chargers side?
That offensive line just can't get healthy. I mean, Becton has been fighting this knee injury for multiple weeks now, and you need him healthy. I mean, you need him healthy and playing at 100% to field something even competitive. And Bobby Hart's been filling in at the opposite tackle spot from wherever Joe Alt's been when he's been healthy this year after they lost Rashawn Slater. So that's, to me, the storyline of this game is the Chargers offensive line lack of health there, the injuries and just the rash of stuff going through that room compared to the Steelers' relative health on the defensive front. And that to me spells the big story here.
So let's talk about this upcoming game. I mean, they're coming off of a game that the defense provides 6 takeaways, 5 sacks, I think 6 quarterback hits. On paper, you're looking at this game and saying this is a game that with the Chargers, they're just so beat up on the offensive front, and they're beat up in the running back department with Najee Harris being done with an Achilles tear, Amari and Hampton still on injured reserve. I mean, they're on 3rd and 4th string running backs at this stage.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is going to be an easy game. What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that the Chargers are well coached. I think they do all of the little things well. When you look at some of the advanced metrics, they're very good at your, I guess, football basics, right? They're a good tackling team. They go to their assignments. Their assignments sound. They don't freelance on either side of the ball, except for Justin Herbert, who happens to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league and leading the league in rushing yards from the quarterback position going into this week. That's just not something we've seen from him. And it's come alive under Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh this year. And he's kind of had to, right? He's kind of been the offense for them, what he can create, what they're able to get from those leading receivers, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, who's come on strong this year, and then obviously Ladd McConkey. Those are the matchups to watch in this game. The Steelers have been really pounding the topic of stopping the run and making that the priority. I feel like in this game, yes, you need to do that, but you need to do that so that that the passing offense can't beat you, because that's what scares me about this game is like, can the secondary put 2 good weeks in a row? I think the front will be fine, but if the secondary doesn't do their part, we've seen it, the front can't be as effective, and that eliminates the strength of what your defense wants to be. So I think that this will be a tough game, but I do think that the Steelers catch the Chargers in a spot health-wise where you need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where this line has shifted, and we'll talk about our picks here. Everywhere from 3.5 now down to 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
You see where the money's going and where they're trying to push it. It's interesting. This Steelers team, and I did the report card. You do the stock report for the Steel Curtain Network website, steelcurtainnetwork.com. And I do my report card every week, and I delay it on purpose. I don't put it out until Wednesday because everyone that does the knee-jerk reaction report card, a lot of times there's too much emotion in it. Like, I want the dust to settle, and then I can look back and say, okay, I was not pleased with the offensive performance last week. Yes, they put up 27 points. 24 of them came off of takeaways. Should have been more. Yep. I just never felt that the plan was good. I never felt that the execution was good. I was really glad that Aaron Rodgers did kind of say that exact same thing in his post-game press conference. What was your takeaway on what didn't go right for the offense last week?
Yeah, I think it was maybe not 100%. Nothing's ever 100% one way or the other in a game. But I thought that the majority of the offensive issues came down to execution. I did not think the offensive line was getting to their spots in the run game, getting any push in the run game. And I thought that was, the Jaylen Warren and company kind of suffered from that. I don't think that the passing offense was running smoothly because the Colts really took it upon themselves to shut down the Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf connection. And Metcalf was having an off day with his hands, which is known to happen. So Rodgers had to start going a different direction. I think like plan wise or game plan wise, I should say, play calling wise, I thought that the Steelers were aggressive, more so than they have been, trying to go for the touchdown on 4th down inside the 5-yard line after the muff punt, for instance. And I didn't mind any of the play calling there. I think guys just needed to make plays, and they were a little lethargic on the offensive side of the ball with the players that were out on the field. So they need to be crisper. They need to be cleaner. But I didn't think, like Aaron Rodgers said, he thought Arthur Smith called a fantastic game. He's probably not going to throw his offensive coordinator in the bus. And I did see a few things that were like, maybe we could have done this here a little bit differently. But overall, I thought Arthur Smith was fine. I thought the personnel usage was fine. I just didn't think guys executed.
What did you think about Jalen Ramsey at safety? And it's the first time he's done it strictly safety for an entire game. What was your takeaway of that Kyle Duggar, Jalen Ramsey secondary?
I loved it. I thought it was the exact right move that they needed to make. Injuries or not, I thought Jalen Ramsey needed to at least play more at the safety spot. I do like him in the nickel. I think around the line of scrimmage, that's probably where he's best, but give it a few weeks here and you might be looking at a Pro Bowl type player at safety from Jalen Ramsey again, just with his instincts and his willingness to hit people, his size, his closing speed. He's not as fast, like long speed as he used to be, but staying a step ahead mentally and the instinctual stuff that he does, he gets to the ball fast and he's an impact player. I think that he needs to stay there until they figure out some semblance of health at the safety spot. And even then, I think he needs to play more there.
All right, so let's go into our AFC North picks for the week. The Cincinnati Bengals are on their bye week, so no game there. But let's talk about the toilet bowl. The Browns at the Jets. This is going to be a fun one, and I say that sarcastically. The Browns are giving 2.5 points. The Jets, basically, they're starting their fire sale, and they started it on Tuesday. Sauce Gardner, Indianapolis Colts, Quentin Johnson down in Dallas, and they got a lot of draft picks back. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so you know how some games where two really bad teams get together, it can kind of end up being fun.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen here. These are the two teams. These are the two teams in the league where it's never fun for these two teams. I guess outside of like the Jets versus Bengals game where the Jets come back and win that one by 1 point, right? That was fun, but you're not getting that type of defense that you're going to get to go up against if you're the Jets offense this week. You're obviously in the middle of a tear down rebuild. What's the motivation going to be like for the players that remain there? We saw some tweeting from the guys who were left behind, if you will, the Breece Halls and Jermaine Johnsons of the world, how they were so disappointed that their brothers were leaving. And in Breece Hall's case, very vocal that he wanted to leave too, and he didn't get that opportunity. So what's the locker room vibes like? I think that the Browns probably win this game just because they seem to be a little bit more coherent of an operation. And this might be the only team that you could compare them to in a positive light when you're talking about the Browns versus another team in the NFL. So give me the Browns in a close, low-scoring game.
Oh, gosh. I mean, you'd have to pay me money to watch it. Like that's where we are with this. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you X number of dollars to watch this game. Not many people are tuning in. I actually will take the Jets.
Okay.
I think we're officially in Shedeur Sanders watch with Cleveland. And, Stefanski's giving up play calling duties and all this stuff is happening. So I'm going to go with the Jets to hold serve at home. Let's go to the other 1 o'clock game, AFC North. This is going to be an intriguing matchup. The Baltimore Ravens go to the Minnesota Vikings. The Ravens obviously have won 2 in a row. Lamar was back. They played on Thursday night last week. Minnesota, they have a surprise win with J.J. McCarthy at the helm, beating the Detroit Lions in Detroit. This is in Minnesota. Baltimore is giving 4.5. What do you think?
So the Lions beat the Ravens and the Vikings just beat the Lions. So ergo the Vikings should beat the Ravens, right? That's how it should be.
Should be.
This to me, there's a couple storylines here. Minnesota at home, their offense was revived, if you will, by the presence of J.J. McCarthy. He still only passed for 143 yards in that win over the Lions. He had a rushing touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns. He basically did just enough for the rest of the talent on the roster to rise up and get a win. The fact that they're at home gives me a little bit of like home dog. Maybe they can come out and surprise a Ravens team that is fully healthy. They didn't have anybody on their injury report the last 2 days. So we'll see how that plays out. To me, though, the breaking point on this one and what I think is going to be actually very close from a talent perspective is Lamar Jackson versus the NFC. And I think that situation comes to play again here where he just wins against these NFC teams for the most part. And I think in the end that's going to be enough.
If the Vikings defense is healthy, give me the Vikings because Brian Flores knows how to beat Lamar Jackson. When he was in Miami, no one gave Lamar fits more than Brian Flores in that defense. I will take the Vikings getting 4.5 at home. to whether they win it outright, I'm not sure. I would jump on the plus 195 on the money line for the Vikings, but I would take the Vikings in this one, getting 4.5 at home.
Didn't the Steelers sweep the Ravens the year that Flores was in town as well?
I believe they did. They had a stretch where they beat him like
they
4
had
or
a
5
stretch,
times
and I
in a
think
row.
he was
Yeah.
in that range
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Brian Flores knows how to befuddle that quarterback. So all right, let's go to the Steelers Sunday night game at the Chargers in SoFi in LA. The Chargers are giving 3, even though some books have moved it to 2.5, with a total of 45.5. What's your prediction? How do you see this one going?
Ooh, I want to say that both defenses kind of control things, because I'm not going to say the Steelers saw the light last week, but I think that the formula that works for a team with high end talent at every level is to kind of simplify things and just let them go play and be better than the person in front of them. I think the last time you saw the Steelers face off against an undermanned offensive line, they wrecked shop against the Vikings in Dublin. And I think that might happen here again. I'm not saying that this is a blowout for the Steelers by any stretch. I do think it's going to be a close game, but it's going to be a close game because this is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
But I think that where it stands right now, the Steelers have the advantage against the Chargers when the Chargers offense is on the field. If they can contain Justin Herbert's legs, I think that they will be able to control things when that offense is on the field, because of the lack of protection that Herbert's going to get this week. And then when the Steelers are on offense, what beats a super sound defense? It's when your guys are a little bit more physical, when your guys can beat up on them a little bit, because they're not going to be out of position. So you're going to have to break tackles. You're going to have to make plays. The Steelers rely on that a lot. They rely on yards after the catch. They rely on these big body guys going out and saying, yeah, I'm bigger and stronger than you. I'm going to take this ball away. I'm going to get the jump ball in the end zone, and Jaylen Warren bouncing off people. So the Steelers, I think if they lean into that physicality, they can beat the soundness of the Chargers defense, but I do think it's going to be defensive-led performances here. So a little bit lower scoring affair for me. I think I have the Steelers winning 24-17. So I think that they pull, maybe kick a field goal to pull ahead by 7 late, and the Chargers just aren't able to get in the end zone to tie it back up.
I think the Chargers are kind of feeling the pressure of the AFC West and the Broncos and the Chiefs and everything. And I think this is going to be a very close game. And I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm going with the over for sure, but I like the Steelers to win with a walk-off Chris Boswell field goal, 27-26, and the Steelers find a way to win. I just think this Justin Herbert can be a matchup nightmare, and they do have a lot of offensive weapons. If the Steelers dominate this game, it's because Herbert has no time to do anything. And we saw that last year in Pittsburgh, but that was because he was hampered with a high ankle injury. So he's healthy. So we'll see how it goes. But we both like the Steelers to win, even though they're getting points. So, all right. Very good. What do you have coming up for us, Jeremy?
Yeah. I'm going to deep dive into the fan reactions around the Steelers of recent weeks. That's going to be finished tonight. And then, or tonight as we're recording this on Thursday. So you'll see that before the game. And then, follow the Steel Curtain Network podcast. Obviously, the Steelers Fix. Andrew and I we just had a duo show because Corey was at work still, and we broke down a lot of the Colts game and kind of how we feel afterwards. Just kind of like a sit down and discuss, right, where the Steelers sit after their big win following the 2 wild losses that they had. And then the Steelers Q&A on Saturday. Make sure you tune into that night before the game starts, and we'll have a lot of content there for you, and bring your questions live on YouTube.
Absolutely. Jeremy, thanks for your time, man. We'll talk next week. Take it easy.
Have a good one, Jeff.